everyone. Thanks for joining tonight. Welcome to Books and Bounty TV. Um, First, I want to before we start, I have to give a really, really big shout out to the love of my life, my one and only, the Bounty in Books and Bounty, Raf_Bayless. Um, as you can see, we're trying a new setup tonight where you're actually on my desk. We have a similar background. I filmed an intro tonight, and so we're diligently editing that. And so a lot of new updates that I want to share with you tonight as we introduce the show. Um, First things first, a bit of new branding coming to you from Books and Bounty. I was experimenting with the first logo, did a little bit more researching about trademarking and licensing, and I already had some original artwork in mind for Books and Bounty. And so that logo is coming to you, and artwork is coming to you today. More on the origination of this new logo in an upcoming episode of Books and Bounty TV. But tonight, I want to talk to you about building community. Over the last week or so, not just in my reading, but in the people with the people I've been meeting, the messages that have been coming to me from all angles have really been about building community. And what you'll see carrying through tonight's all of the bookish things that we'll be reviewing tonight, you'll see that that theme flows through pretty consistently around building community, whether that's uh, the women and movers and shakers that and time and diligence and effort that goes into building writing collectives. The same thing, the people and stakeholders and influencers that go into building and authors and writers and self-publishers that group together to build indie publishing houses, your local bookstores and booksellers, and then the people in the community, whether they're uh, city agencies, nonprofit organizations, people who connect others. The theme throughout the message that I've been getting from everyone is about, Stephanie, let's build that community. It's more than just networking, it's building those deeper relationships around people who not only share your interests, but also share your mission. So I want to talk a little bit more about Books and Bounty and what I keep in mind and what I've always kept in mind in my work. So my work has always primarily been mission driven, even when I've been working full time, whether it's influencing the cultural competence in academic resources that's going to train our next medical professionals, whether it's enlightening and pushing an author to develop that character more, to do a little bit more research if they need to. Um, and just taking that deeper dive. And so that's what I mean by community building. It's not just the surface of the transactional relationship or communication that goes on when you're networking. It's more so the relationship you're building, and the mission and goals that you are working toward achieving together. So I want to talk mind, keeping community building in mind. That's what we're going to be talking about tonight. First uh, person, the bookish thing, person, or event that I would like to bring to you tonight is Nicole Butler. So Nicole Butler and I met, like so many of us have met a lot of the book influencers and readers and writers in our lives have been in authors and new books have been through social media. And I started following Nicole earlier through her Instagram page. You'll see on the screen here, Butler's Book Bag. And uh, as you can see, is self-described. Nicole Butler is a bibliophile since she was a childhood, a book club lover, a tutor, and a book reviewer. A little bit more about Nicole. She is a longtime teacher, and she has impacted hundreds of learners from childhood to high school, and has as a result those children have flourished academically, both and in other places. And as I've been hunting and searching for different events, Nicole's silent reading event came up, and I never been to a silent reading event before. Um, all the times with book clubs, even if it's a book club that you frequent a lot, if you're just starting to figure out where to go with the book club scene, there's the book clubs aren't always reading something that you're interested in. Uh, what do you do when you want to get around book people and chat about books? So I've been noticing in the last couple years, and maybe it started around the pandemic. I would have to look into that a bit more, but um, these silent reading events. If you're introvert, if you're extrovert, it's perfect for everyone because what you do is you bring your book along with you, whatever you want to, whatever you're reading tonight, or magazine. And The way Nicole hosts her events um, is that it starts with you settling in. You order your food or drink if the facility provides it. You take your spot with you and whoever you brought with you, and folks trickle in. And then after that, Nicole introduces the silent reading session, and you snuggle in close with your book and your drink or your tea and your snack, and you read for about, if I recall, it was about 45 minutes to an hour or more. Um, and then after that, the group gathers to discuss what they read. And there's no pressure. You can share, excuse me, or you could just listen in. And Of course, you guys know I shared. So that's a bit more about Butler's Book Bag. Make sure you follow Butler's Book Bag on Instagram. Reach out to Nicole. She puts the links for the events in her bio, but you can also look for her and follow her on Eventbrite so you never miss an upcoming silent reading meetup. And I would not necessarily be bringing this to you if I did not really enjoy myself. So the event, the this one that I went to was just on the 26th. She will be hosting another one in October. So again, make sure you follow her. And then I wanted to bring up some highlights from that live event. So when I reached out to Nicole and let her know I was coming, I asked if I could be live there. And she agreed, and I brought my equipment. And if you were live with us on the 26th, you could have joined them. But I also, as you can see here, let me zoom in. I have highlights from that evening up on the channel. So what I'm going to take you through tonight, let's go ahead and look at some of the highlights. Let's start from the beginning.
Come on down. We'll be here about 8:30, 9 o'clock. Come get some.
It's just me getting settled in. You notice there's others enjoying themselves. Nicole had two tables reserved that night, which was just perfect because sometimes I was talking to Nicole, her events average between 25 and 30 people. This was right as Haleen was coming through town, the remnants of it, beginning stages of it, and making its way through the mid Atlantic. And So it was a rainy, gloomy night. And to me, it was a perfect weather for a silent reading event. But it was a more intimate and cozy crowd. There were, I think, two, three, six of us, 6 or 7 of us. But it was great. As my first silent reading event, I really got to hear everyone got to engage um, and participate. Even those that seemed a bit shy at first, by the end, really shared their book and really got involved. Nicole also, if you brought a banned book with you that night, you were featured on her Instagram. If I go back over to that real quick. You see, she also has some highlights there. So let's look at another one. So, as I mentioned, here's a little bit from my silent reading session. I was reading, taking notes for my wrap up of the Tomi Adeyemi Legend of Orisha series, as well as digging into um, Zora Neale Hurston's Jonah's Drinking Gourd. I don't have footage from that event, but I want to pause here as I'm reading. I'm going to mute the desktop audio for a minute. I was reading during this time. I was taking notes for Tomi Adeyemi, but I also started and switched over to a little bit to read Zora Neale Hurston's uh, Jonah's Gourd Vine, and that was actually Zora Neale Hurston's first published work. And unbelievably, I had not read it before. So I took the opportunity to sign up for the book club run by the Zora Neale Hurston Trust, and we can look at them for a minute. And that was a virtual book club event. It was a free event. Nicole events are free as well. So the silent reading event was a free event as well. Most of the events I'll bring to you here at Books and Bounty will be free events, and I'll let you always know if there was a fee. So let me look for Trust. So talk about their summit coming up too. So we had a book club. I joined their book club um, to read Jonah's Gourd Vine, and again, another effort in community building. The moments we shared in that book club with everyone who joined. Shout out to Ray and Raymond for being great hosts and facilitators, keeping the conversation moving. Great job. I really enjoyed myself, and I can't wait for the next one, which I think is going to be Their Eyes Were Watching God. If you've read it, I know most of us in the bookish community have either laid our hands on it at some point in high school, AP English, or in college. Um, I would suggest looking at literature again if you have not with a group of peers and others, because it was intergenerational on that phone call and looking at the characters in Jonah's Gourdvine through the eyes of multiple generations, through multiple perspectives of multiple contexts. It really was enlightening. So I encourage you guys, another um, group to follow since we're talking about bookish people would be the Zora Neale Hurston Trust. Again, shout out to Ray and Raymond for hosting the channel. As you can see, they have a summit coming up in the new year, January 31st through the 1st, February 1st. So again, the summit is hosted at Barnard College. I'm really trying to get to this one as well. So if anybody would like to support, let me know. Reach out to me, Steph at booksandbounty.com. There's a lot of great events upcoming in New York. Um, and we'll get to some other things when we talk about some people at another event in which uh, again, talking about building that community. So um, in the community of book lovers everywhere. These were two great events that I experienced last week. So I encourage you again, follow Zora Neale Hurston Trust on Instagram. Look out for them elsewhere, as well as Butler's Book Bag. And as I turn back to my silent reading, there's one other clip just so you guys can see a bit of the engagement. Remember, it was a more intimate group. Let me turn the volume back up. It was a more intimate group. And right now, the group is, I'm still taking notes. We are discussing The Final Girl Support Group by Brady Hendricks, which is the new author to me. But as you can see here, um, the way the group is engaged and paying attention to every word it's an exciting read. So let me go quiet and see if you guys can hear.
And while we've been in, some of them have been innocent from the trauma industry.
She's discussing is it's this group of women who are trying to overcome unspeakable traumas, so to speak, and they have to get through it together, or not. It is much more dark than that. It's definitely going in the to be read pile, considering that our theme in the fall is all thing dark fiction, horror, fantasy, and sci-fi. So definitely wanted to highlight this clip of our discussion again of Grady Hendrix's The Final Girls Support Group. So so that's two small, intimate community building events that I went on this week. And I highly encourage you, if you are trying to build community within the world of words, as we like to call it here at Books and Bounty, whether that is you are trying to get published as a self publishing author, you're trying to understand your local landscape of publishers and potential um, stakeholders or influencers, or you're just looking for a good group of people to talk about books with. Put yourself out there. Silent reading is a good opportunity for folks who would like to be around other bookish people, but doesn't necessarily want to participate in the full chatter of a book club. One thing I also liked about the virtual experience of a book club, that was actually my second virtual experience of a book club. I think it was my first virtual experience of a book club with as many people on the line. That if again, if you don't want to necessarily share your face or share your voice and speak your opinion, the chat is available there, and it was on fire. And so again, shout out to Ray and Raymond with the Zora Neale Hurston Trust and Nicole Butler at Butler's Book Bag for hosting us at Swill. Forgot to mention that. Hosting us right there. You can see it on the screen there, hosting us up in the corner. Swill is a Black owned business restaurant located in the Washington Village neighborhood in Southeast Baltimore City. It is a beautiful place. As you can see here, exposed bricks mixed with natural wood accents, and a friendly staff really made it welcoming. Plus the rain and everything that night. It was just a really cozy atmosphere. So check out Swill down on Washington Boulevard. All right. So those were again some of the more intimate events. What's I think you guys can see on your screen right now, at the bottom there, um, is the logo and fly that was all over the flyers and Instagram today for the Baltimore Book Festival. And I'm going to switch over to them. So, Baltimore Book Festival, for those who don't know, is an annual event hosted every year in Baltimore City for all the bookish and literary folks. So, you'll find vendors there, and vendors can include local booksellers and bookshops, to self publishing authors, local authors, local publishers, and other indie publishers, writers, collectives. Um, artists, comic book artists. It ranges. So all of the live is currently up on my Twitch right now. So again, I'm under books. Everything is still books and bounty. And if you look on my Twitch, you can see all the live footage. Tonight, I'm going to bring you a highlight. Let's cross our fingers that it works because I'm not kidding you. I just tried to publish that highlight before I went live. If not, we can go through the footage itself and I'll fast forward some. But As you can see here, Baltimore Book Festival, it just happened last weekend as well, in the Waverly neighborhood of Baltimore, Maryland. That's in the Northeast Baltimore neighborhood, between City College High School and Johns Hopkins University. And the festival happened right off of Greenmount Avenue and between 31st, right off of Greenmount in Barclay and Greenmount, 31st and 32nd Street, near where the corner of what is that, like University, 33rd, all of that meets. So down a bit from the farmers market parking lot is where it all began, on 31st and 32nd Street, right outside of Normal's bookstore. It was the perfect Baltimore location. So, as I've mentioned on some of my other lives, I've worked for some time with Enoch Pratt Free Library, and Baltimore Book Festival used to be hosted there. But it has always been sponsored by the CityLit project. And I just want to say kudos to the executive director, Carla Dupree, and others for for really picking the perfect sort of Baltimore kitsy spot, uh, for the Baltimore Book Festival. When I say this place is nestled between chicken box places and beauty supply stores with really, really nice bookstore slash bar cafe and the now new artisan chocolatiers. It is really sort of that juxtaposition of all the kitsy things that I call home that makes Baltimore charming, is nestled in this one little neighborhood in Northeast Baltimore. So kudos to picking that spot. I'm gonna I think this is their promo video. I'm just gonna run it here. You guys can get an idea of what that.
Fabulous 14th District. Today we are inside of Red Emma's bookstore and coffee house, reminding you that this weekend is the Baltimore Book Festival. I'm so excited to host this festival here in our district. In addition to top authors from across the city and the country, you can also experience our bookstores, including Red Emma's, Normal's, Greedy Reads, The Book Thing, Urban Reads, and so many more. Festivities start on Friday, September 27th for the opening reception. The full festival starts on Saturday, September 28th, and will continue till Sunday, September 29th. The festival will take place on Greenmount and 30th, 31st, and 32nd Streets. Thank you so much to Waverly Main Street, Red Emma's, CityLit, the Mayor's Office, and BOPA for bringing this festival back to Baltimore.
As you can see here, some of the sponsors that are coming up, but shout out to Red Emma's. I'm always there. You can catch me there probably a couple nights a week. There's one of the only cafes that are open till 9, that has that great setting. I wish more coffee shops were open later. We're there. If you do it, we'll come. I promise. But shout out to Red Emma's and of course City Lit Project, Waverly Main Street, and others. So if you don't want to miss out on next year's Baltimore Book Festival, I again suggest you also follow Baltimore Book Fest on Instagram, um, and check out, mark your calendars for next year. And so I'm going to show you a little bit, the highlight of my time at the Baltimore Book Festival. If you should, not if you should, if not, go do it now. I'll pause. I'll give you a few seconds. Follow me, Books and Bounty, Instagram, TikTok, and others, Twitch. You will see some highlights from my time at the Baltimore Book Festival, including the highlight of my time at the Baltimore Book Festival, and that's meeting Zora Edim of Well Read Black Girl. Yes, yes, yes. Insert all in the same thing. All favors later. So yes, so go on TikTok. I post a picture with her. As I mentioned earlier, Gloria Dean is the founder and leader of Well Read Black Girl. And since our theme is around community building, Well Read Black Girl began as a community of book lovers and book readers, book clubs, and grew from there. Um, Gloria Dean's own influence and trajectory um, is is off it has she often gives ode to the collective of writers, especially women writers, that have influenced her life and career. Um, so I'm going to give you a little bit of snippet of her conversations with Leslie Gray Streeter of the Baltimore Banner. Leslie Gray Streeter was actually given one of the top journalist awards in Maryland by the Baltimore Magazine. As you guys know, I will always shout out the Baltimore Banner, Baltimore's only digital, all local, all digital news source. We don't talk about the other one here on Books and Downey too much. So check out baltimorebanner.com, subscribe, support your local journalism. It what keeps our politicians and others that are leaders and pillars in our community accountable. And during this time, it's what we need most. So again, shout out to the Baltimore Banner. And Leslie Gray Streeter here does a great job at facilitating a conversation with Gloria Dean. Again, I try not to fangirl, did a little bit of that, but it was a great conversation. So I'll give a snippet, a few snippets from there, see if this highlight works.
Behind the scenes to make this event happen. We've all been working in collaboration to make this event a success. CityLit wants to thank Red Emma's, Waverly Main Street, Peabody Brewery, the Mayor's Office, the members of the BOPA staff, especially the Lady Kate, Tia Goodson, and Rachel DeTone. We also thank the Clifton House and Gritty Reads, our festival bookseller. So today I have the honor of introducing praise song for the books that cradled me, featuring the phenomenon known as well-read Black girls, Glory Edim, who introduces us to her forthcoming memoir, Gather Me. Leslie Gray Streeter, author of Black Widow and recently named the best columnist by Baltimore Magazine, will engage with
and staying and not going, forget this and leaving. So thank you so much. I am so excited. I reminded Glory that we actually met years ago before my book came out in Florida, and I was fangirling out a little bit, and I'm trying not to do that, but I'm sure all of you who are familiar with her are just...
And I would say, you know, at what, 3-4 years old, you know, I...
Okay, so what did Leslie say? She said she was...
you know,
had in do that, but I'm sure all of you who are familiar with her are just the amazing impact that she's had in creating an opportunity to dialogue together, but
with literature, with...
Yes, talking about the community that Gloria Dean has created around Black women who have a love of literature, reading, and advocacy. And it's beautiful to see. I'm going to let this play. I'm going to go refill my tea. You guys take a listen. Glory continues to give some really encouraging words about starting off. And then she also starts to talk about her new book. Let me get that. You'll see in the highlight, uh, Leslie start to talk about how Glory structures her up and coming book, which you can now pre order, run and get it. Um, Gather Me, a memoir in praise of the books that saved me, and using books, the, the pivotal books in her life that have changed her, influenced her, that she comes back to, that brings back memories. At some point in this highlight, she says, "It's just as a song would, it's just sometimes a smell brings back a memory." Um, and I have some of those books in my life. One I have highlighted behind me today. We'll talk a little bit more about that one. That's Toni Morrison's Jazz. Um, and so listen to Glory talk about her new book, Gather Me, and enjoy the conversation with Leslie Gray Streeter while I go refill my tea.
Books, that's such a big question, and I would say, you know, at what, 3-4 years old, I was always like reading with my mother. She would read the Bible to me. She would tell me like just stories that she made up out of thin air. And so I was always surrounded by storytelling. Even with my father too, just that they always have told me stories. And then I started to really go to the library and like really have understanding when I started school. So I lived in the library with my younger brothers. We went there all the time. It was just part of our makeup. I think when I was always in love with books.
Such bagels, it's kind of eclectic. It was. My mom used to pull out if you're from DC, they used to have like the mini post in the Washington Post. You guys remember that? It was like, yeah, it was like a mini newspaper. My mom would like pull those out and make a collection of that. So I would like go through, do like my highlights and do like my mini posts every Sunday. But yeah, the book, the memoir comes out at the end of October, and I did just really hectic for those. So these memories of that. What's the first book that this should be something I read? Because of her relationship with her little brother. I read the part about my Angel taking care of her brother Bailey and their connection. And I just connected with that. But then there were parts where I got to, I was like, ooh, I do not understand, sexual assault or, but I didn't fully comprehend. You were living overseas, something that I
It's like, oh wow, you look this way, so people can project a certain idea or their biases upon you. And I just wanted to be really vulnerable and revealing that like I have overcome a lot of things throughout my life, and they have not made me downtrodden. They just like really inspired me to work harder. So I did decide to talk about my family's experience with mental illness, with my relationship. I just wanted to be very honest.
So you guys can pick these up at Atomic Books on Falls Road in the Hamden area. DC Creepers, everyone.
I hope you guys enjoyed that clip of the Baltimore Book Festival's one of their sessions with Gloria Edim of Well Read Black Girl. Go pre-order her book now, Gather Me, in conversation with Leslie Gray Streeter. So as we continue, I went and looked at some of the vendors here. Let me see if I can find really interesting. Paper Herald. I'm gonna go visit them. Okay. So what I'm gonna show you next is Angel King. Who I'm going to introduce you to next is Angel King Wilson, and she runs Silent Book Publishing here locally in Baltimore, and they're a collective of self-publishing authors. I actually bought one of their books from an author. Let me see if I can find it. Didn't realize it was from the publisher until actually I looked home and looked at the inside jacket and covers, and what this publishing house do, again, local publisher and local indie publisher, collective of self-publishing authors. Please support them, Silent Book Publishing. I'm let her explain it herself, but ultimately they tell the stories that mainstream publishers don't necessarily want to pick up. One story is about the moon who follows the boy around, and I'll let her explain it herself. But this is someone I definitely want to hook up with again. So Angel, I'll be chasing you down soon. I really like what you're doing there. It really spoke to me, especially when, again, our theme tonight, you guys, is around building community and that support system that the world of words can provide when it comes to amplifying voices, untold stories, unsung heroes, and Angel and others are doing that here. So let me play this clip quickly.
My name's Stephanie Henderson. I'm with Books and Bounty, booksandbounty.com, and on all social media platforms. We are an editorial production company, so copy editing, typesetting, copywriting, and content development. And I just recently, in the last couple of months, started building my online media presence and social influencing presence just by way to get leads back to the site. So we're here in Baltimore. I've always come to all the festivals. I'm here live now on our Twitch channel, so say hi, everybody, and go ahead and introduce yourself in Silent Books Publishing.
Thank you. Hey, thank you so much for stopping over. So I am Angel Wilson, the founder of Silent Books Publishing. We are a self-publishing company here in Baltimore. All of these books here, some of our authors are self-published, and we're called Silent Books because we focus on books where people like have vulnerable topics, so topics that you think people usually be silent about. Well, people like, let's say, topics that the traditional publishing companies just aren't talking about. Like in my book after I self-published, I wrote about having lead poisoning and being diagnosed with lead poisoning at 2 years old, and also not knowing my dad growing up, and just how I feel about growing up in Baltimore.
And I say it's a topic that is very prevalent and needs to be more talked about, especially in this city.
Yes. So that's what I talk about in my book. So like I said, topics you feel like may feel like you want to be silent about, but it's important to write about these topics because they're relatable.
Yep.
Or even like The Moon Follow Me Home was actually a book about the woman who wrote it, Chantel. She wrote about her child's father who died, and the moon symbolizes him following her home. So all of our books like have that type of symbolism to them, and like that's how we start off as that company. But we do all of it. So if you have a draft that you want to do, you come to us. We'll edit it, lay it out, print it, all the whole thing.
Okay. Well, if you need help, you need some extra hands, let me know. I'm at Books and Bounty. I'll sign up on this sheet, of course. I wanted to do that anyway. And let me know.
And that was Angel with Silent Books Publishing. Silent Books Publishing, a local indie publishing collective of self-publishing authors. And you saw earlier in the episode tonight, the festival was on 3 different streets. And when I was at, I think this was 32nd Street. I was on my way out the door. It was a little hot and sweaty, making my way back to the car, but finally had some time to do some engagement and talk to folks without the camera running. And I came across this book, which is Project Blackbeam by Stephon Fowlkes. Shout out to the namesake there. And Stephon Fowlkes is a local Baltimorean author who was born and raised here. And this story, I'm going to read the synopsis on the back because this is what caught my eye. Again, you guys know sci-fi, it's a Black author. Even more so, finding young adult literature for young Black men, and seeing what's out there for them. So I'm gonna read you the synopsis. It goes as follows. It's the year 2091. What happened? Did those who identify themselves as white supremacists successfully make the near extinction of Blacks appear natural? They made rap music illegal, but what was the real reason? Was it to suppress melanated people's evolutionary gift of the God tongue? Follow X, one of the young men raised in the military's Black child conservation camps, Project Blackbeam, and several others on a journey from a close past into a dystopian future to discover the truth in the flight of their lives. I was like, what? I'm gonna read this. I'm gonna let you know what I think. But again, shout out to Angel King Wilson, to Stephon Fowlkes of Silent Books Publishing. Let's see. I have some other footage that I'm going to highlight. The live footage is all up there now, but we had great conversations with some women writing collectives next. And so take a look at that. I'll be including that in an article that should be hitting booksandbounty.com tomorrow, where I'm going to be wrapping up all of the events, all of the bookish things, people, and events that have come up on Books and Bounty in the past week. So again, look for that tomorrow morning. And I'm just getting back to my notes here. Okay. And so we'll be wrapping up soon. And at this time, I usually go on a bit of a silent reading session. We have about 25 minutes left in our episode tonight. So, what I'll be reading tonight, I'm almost done a series. So, I'm going to be going into book two a bit more tonight during my silent reading session. But before I do that, I wanted to read from you from Jazz. I started this episode, we're talking about how a lot of the themes and stuff that a lot of the events, a lot of the messages that were coming to me from the universe and other places, from God, from my Aunt Jenny, shout out to her, I miss you. And just coming from wherever it is, from wherever it came from, was about building community and putting myself out there and getting one-on-one with people. And I thought about Toni Morrison came up a lot this weekend. She is a powerhouse in not just American literature, but especially in Black women literature. And so her name came up a lot. And my favorite Toni Morrison novel is Jazz. And we talk about, Gloria was talking about the way she uh, uses books is to sort of spark memories, and that is the structure she uses in her new memoir. Um, when I Toni Morrison is someone who I always, depending on wherever stage I am in my life, I have read her um, at a younger age as a teenager, probably again parts too early to understand. I think Glory talks and Leslie talk about that as well. Um, too early to understand, but then kept rereading the story. First it's that sort of Delulu obsession young women can sometimes have with toxic relationships and thinking that jazz is a love story, when then reading it from adult perspective and realizing that it's actually a tragedy. It is a heartbreaking story, but it's also a story about community and about the need, um, not just the need, the sort of the life force that women must have, like in forming community, that women crave and spread out to others by their community building. And is but you got to put yourself out there. You got to get back out of your comfort zone. We are no longer quarantined. And so I encourage other book lovers and bookish people, find where you fit in. If it's a festival where you can just blend in the crowd, if it's a silent reading event where you can have that accountability for reading and also share what others are learning, and participate when you want to. Virtual book clubs, uh, start building that community, and it's something that I am the momentum that of my journey right now, that is where my focus is sort of building my bookish community in the Baltimore metropolitan area, rebuilding my bookish community at home. So with that, I'm going to leave you with a very lonely passage from Toni Morrison's Jazz, because this is from the first few pages of the book. In this edition, um, you guys know I always like to the publisher. Uh, this edition was published by Alfred A. Knopf in 1992. Jazz It, and I think Tony. No, I know. I don't think I know. And distributed by what is now known as Penguin Random House. So shout out to Penguin Random House. So many of my authors are there. You guys have produced some great work. So in this version of Toni Morrison's Jazz, I'm starting on page 7, and Toni Morrison, and what I find attractive in a lot of my favorite authors, is their ability to turn a setting into a character. and the prose that Toni Morrison produces is angelic. Like it is a deep dive. It is a lesson in master craft, and how her short scenes sometimes end up being a short story in themselves. So I'm going to read a little bit actually out loud this time. It's the first here on Book and Bounty. We'll see how it goes. And this setting here is something that I have thought about like turning into a tattoo. I have imagined it all different ways. Like it's something that it is imprinted in my mind as a vision. But it is a woman who is at the beginning, as you can see again, page 7, who is again thriving and existing and moving on about life in a way, and she's even content, even happy, I could may possibly say, right? You'll learn more as you read more in this book. But here goes. So daylight slants. Oh, I'm crazy about this city. Daylight slants like a razor, cutting the buildings in half. In the top half I see looking faces, and it's not easy to tell which are people, which the work of stonemasons. Below is the shadow where any blasé thing takes place, clarinets and lovemaking, fists and the voices of sorrowful women. A city like this one makes me dream tall and feel in on things. It's a bright steel rocking above the shade below that does it. When I look over strips of glass lining the river, at church steeples and into the cream and copper halls of apartment buildings, I'm strong. Alone, yes, but top-notch and indestructible. And the scene goes on. I mean, it's descriptive. Maybe I'll say for 2, and get up into this version up until page 9. So it's almost 3 pages of scene setting, cityscape setting at the beginning of Toni Morrison's jazz. And so, although this is where I'm beginning, feeling alone, yes, and top notch and indestructible, that alone part of me is sort of withering away as I build this community in the bookish world of things, events, and people. So I'm going to start some silent reading. I again, as I continue to get through Tomi Adeyemi's Legend of Orisha series. I'm on book 2 now, y'all. I encourage you to follow me on Twitch and join our Discord server, all both under booksandbounty.com. We are a few followers away, about a handful of followers away from having, I think, maybe a few bit more on Twitch. Yeah, almost a little bit under 2 dozen on Twitch. So we still have some more spots left. If you are following on both Books and Bounty on Twitch and you have joined our Discord channel, you're entered to win our first giveaway, in which you get a chance at winning the complete set. I don't have the first one, Children of Blood and Bone. Let me get it. You can get the complete set of Tomi Adeyemi series. So first one, Children of Blood and Bone. You get that one, get a chance to win that one. You get a chance of Children of Virtue and Vengeance. And you get a chance to win Children of Anguish and Anarchy. No, you do not get a chance to win my autographed copy. But tell me, if you want to send me some autographed copies to help sponsor the giveaway, feel free. Because they're not having mine. Cherish it. But you can get a chance to win the complete trilogy set of Legend of Orisha. Again, this Children of Blood and Bone, the film rights has been picked up by Paramount. Follow Tomi on TikTok. I think it's Tomi.Adeyemi. She's really active on there. If you want information about casting calls, updates about the movie, we are all hanging on by our fingertips waiting for more news about that. So I'm going to turn on some lo-fi like I always do at this time. Grab your tea, grab your drink, and take a toke and relax. It's now time to read with Books and Bounty TV. so that's all it takes, Day. That's all, and so that's all it takes, guys, is a few moments to yourself and a good book or a good read to relax and decompress from the day. I'm going to continue reading. I hope you continue to enjoy your books as the night gets late, and uh, cozy yourself up uh, with the book of your choice this evening. Um, Thanks for joining Books and Bounty TV. Again, I'm your host, Stephanie, coming to you from the She Suite here at Books and Bounty, your place of curated bookish things, people, and events in the Baltimore metropolitan area. I hope you turn the page with us and see you next time.